All right, so welcome to the Shot of Business Central, where we're going to talk about some news and updates related to Business Central over the last month. So the major kind of update for the month is that the Wave 2 release has now begun being deployed throughout all of the Business Central environments out there. We receive notifications via email for all of our customers, so we have a heads up of when their environments are being updated, and also once the update is attempted, if the update was successful, right? And we'll get it. So let's say a customer has a production environment and one sandbox. We'll get a notification of if each environment was updated and if it was successful or not.
Because they don't automatically update at the same time, right? It can be at different times.
Correct. I think typically it'll attempt to update them both at the same time, but they are separate, so one could possibly succeed while another one fails. And we have seen some situations where there are extensions or apps that are deployed within a Business Central environment where there is a conflict.
Right.
And usually how we resolve that conflict is we either just install a new version of the app, or if it's a customization that was created like as an extension, we may have to go in and
change a couple things,
update something to be compatible.
But more likely than not, it's just the app not being updated with the correct version to run with the new version of Business Central.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So that's kind of the big news that's out there. We're happy to see. I've been using the new Wave 2 release, which is Business Central under the hood. It's version 15.
Yeah.
And I've been using it from a user front end perspective. Some really great changes that I like as a user. Being able to filter on a list of entries and then save it. The ability to create bookmarks.
Oh. Beautiful.
Right? So I want to put purchase quotes up on my Roll Center homepage. I can bookmark the page, and now I've got a link right at the top of my Roll Center.
Or the banners for multiple companies that show which company you're working in.
Exactly.
One of my favorite is the ability to work in multiple companies in Outlook, which is pretty good. I mean, I would have never guessed that would even be a feature. So kudos to Microsoft for thinking about something like that.
Yep. So that's definitely the biggest piece of news. Otherwise, as we discussed during our last podcast, on October's, let's call it 15th through the 18th, was the Dynamics User Group Summit, which is I want to say probably 7,000 or 8,000 people this year attended in Orlando.
Right, and it's called User Group Summit now as opposed to NAVUG in the past and then NAVUG/BCUG, right?
Yeah, it's a new name, something.
What's not User Group Summit?
I don't think it's User Groups. I think it's something similar to that though. But they're kind of rebranding the name of it a little bit, and so. You have across, those are, you have Dynamics 365 Sales, Business Central, Power BI, Power Apps. There's a lot of, all of the different Dynamics users attending the session. So, we were a sponsor, a key sponsor for the Business Central group there. So we had a really good experience. A ton of interest in upgrading existing customers to the newest Business Central version. We had a lot of great discussions with users about how do I get from maybe an old version of NAV or GP or SL into Business Central, and how do I get to the cloud.
But also a lot of people not really knowing too much about Business Central, right? Wasn't that kind of surprising? We would imagine they were a little bit more informed, but I guess they weren't. That's some of the feedback that I heard.
Yeah, I think there definitely is, I don't know if confusion is the right word, or, right, because you have Microsoft Dynamics 365 is the overall brand, right, for actually multiple different products. So you have people throw around the term, Dynamics. We're running Dynamics 365.
Yeah.
Well, what specifically are you running?
Right, and I've seen a lot of people in Microsoft, when they say Dynamics 365, a lot of them are just referring to the CRM aspect, the sales aspect.
Correct.
So it makes it even more confusing to even partners sometimes when they're talking about it.
Yep, and there have been a huge number of changes to the Business Central product, right? From, especially if you look at it from not only the pace of change and new features and functionality and integrations that are available with it, but if you also then add in the fact that this is the next version effectively of NAV 2018, right?
Yeah.
And how does my existing on-premise environment, how do I move forward from there? There's a lot of questions out there about how that happens.
I think confusion might be the right word, especially with the multiple rebranding of Dynamics 365 for financials, and then Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations Business Edition, which was the same as AX, and the Enterprise Edition, and then ultimately leading to Business Central. So I do think confusion might be the right word.
Yeah, and we hosted a session at the conference. It was 2 different flavors of Business Central, on-premise and cloud, where we highlighted the similarities and the differences between the on-premise version and the cloud version, and considerations really that you should make if you're thinking about one versus the other.
Right.
Because every business is unique and has different requirements and expectations. What's great, I believe, is that Microsoft is offering both options.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do need or want to run it on-premise, great.
Yeah,
we can deploy it on-premise for you. If you want to deploy it on the cloud and have updates auto-applied and be on the Microsoft cloud, then that option is there for you too.
Right, and if you're a NAVUG/BCUG member, I believe the session recording is available to you on their website. So I highly recommend check it out and see what Ken had to say about all that.
Yeah, so before I can tell you my experiences, I was there at the conference with a few of my colleagues here from Solution Systems. But Michael, you weren't able to attend, but you were checking out some feedback. What kind of feedback did you get, and what did people have to say?
Yeah, I was online looking at the feedback, looking at a bunch of different things, and I kind of compiled a quick little list called the good, bad, and the ugly. So let's start with the good, and the good is that Summit continues to grow every year, especially with Business Central users. But that also kind of leads into the ugly, which we'll get to in a second. So the bad is attendees want more diversity within the sessions offered. And then when we get to the ugly, because Business Central and the User Group Summit is growing so much, space is a challenge. And space is really a challenge because these facilities are booked between 2 and 3 years prior. So if their estimates on the growth is wrong, it tends to become a little bit cramped. Right. Now, when you were there, did you notice any of this? Like, was space a challenge, or?
It was. So we were at the what's it called? The Gaylord Conference Center in Orlando, and what we noticed was, and I'm not sure if space was a challenge. Rooms were small. Yeah. So our session was a recorded session, so it was one of the sessions they chose to record. They thought there might be some value there. Right. The room was pretty tight. It was a pretty small room. So I did get some feedback that some of the rooms were small and that they were overflowing certain sessions. Now, what I thought was funny, and also they had what was called the Power Zone.
The Power Zone?
Yeah. So, and this was
Power Apps, maybe?
Well, no, this was kind of a cool. I thought it was kind of cool. I think it had to do ultimately with the space issues.
Okay.
So what they had was certain sessions where it was one huge ballroom. Just picture a typical ballroom, and then in the 4 corners of the ballroom, one big room, they had 4 separate kind of stages and seating areas set up.
So 4 sessions basically were able to go on in one room?
Correct. In one room, you had 4 sessions going on at the same time, 4 speakers speaking and presenting their solutions or their topics. And you think, okay, well, that had to be a little weird. What was the noise? How did that work? Well, how it worked was the speakers were on stage and they had a microphone, and every person who was sitting down had headphones.
Oh, so it was done through headphones.
So there were let's say 50 chairs in each area, and each chair had a set of headphones on it. So you'd sit down, you'd put the headphones on, and you could hear your speaker.
It's a good compromise to be able to put four people in one room.
So I thought it was kind of cool. My guess is that it probably was due to space, right? And they thought,
Most
hey,
likely,
we could use this room and have 4 sessions at a time in it.
Yeah.
But I thought it was different, and I thought it was kind of unique and kind of a change up, right, from your typical room-to-room conference. By the third day, I attended like a third session in there.
So you actually attended one of the sessions with headphones?
Yeah. The novelty kind of wore off, by the third thing. But I thought it was cool. I thought it was kind of a neat change.
Were they comfortable headphones at least?
Yeah, they were nice. And I heard that they were cleaned between each session.
Oh, nice. So that makes a difference, I guess.
I didn't see anyone cleaning them, but I understand that they were cleaned.
But anyways, or anything, so
yeah, they were nice, and it worked pretty well. The one thing it's funny that I think you're bad, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah.
Your bad was that the attendees want more diversity within the sessions offered.
Yeah, they were saying
like,
that.
What was the
feedback is that from year to year the sessions kind of are the same, meaning if there's a year-end closing one year, the next year it's year-end closing again. They just want it to be a little bit different every year.
I got you. Okay. The reason I have to chuckle a little bit on that is because there are literally like 10 to 15 Business Central sessions during each hour.
Oh, really?
Right? So if there's a session between 8 and 9 a.m., let's say, there are at least a dozen options to pick from, usually. So I guess I could see, though, if you are a regular attendee, you're going every year, and you're an experienced user, I guess I could agree with that, right? Because I've been going now for 6 years or however many years it's been. I attend fewer and fewer sessions over time, but again, I'm not there to learn. That's not my primary purpose to go.
But even so, your session this year is different from your session last year.
Absolutely right.
So
correct. Yeah, I think there are certain staples that they put in there, like inventory costing, period end processing, how to build your financial statements. Right? There are going to be some of those that I think are required because there's new people every year that attend. Maybe what they need to do is identify the tracks better to say these are like your staples.
Right. Level 1 user, level 2 user, level 1 this is for basic or whatever.
Right. And they do that. They do rank from
do they?
Beginner, intermediate, and advanced.
Oh.
So that they do have those designations on the sessions. Yeah. But I could see why there are some of those staple type sessions that there are always going to be new users who may be not familiar with it. So they want to make sure that they're at least having one session on those.
Now, as a little side note, I heard another good thing about User Group Summit, and maybe you can confirm it or kill it, was that people saw a lot more interaction this year between Power BI users and Business Central users and CRM users. They said that everybody was interacting more this year as opposed to other years. Was that maybe because of the layout? I
think that's fair to say. Yeah, the expo hall, for example, hundreds of organizations there, showcasing their apps or solutions or services, are completely mixed up.
Oh, so it's not just a Business Central role or a 365 sales role or whatnot.
Yeah, okay. So if you're walking through the expo hall, there's no rhyme or reason that I could understand of
where you're
which
located.
Type of solutions are located in any specific area. So I think that lended itself to some shared, and also the way the conference hall was laid out and where the sessions were, right? They were all intermixed. I think in previous conferences, like for example last year in Arizona, all of the Business Central sessions were in one building. And all of the F&O or CRM sessions were in a different building. Okay. So that kind of lended itself to that separation.
So I also heard, which is funny because some of the feedback too was that there wasn't enough time in between classes or sessions because the sessions were spread out so much more this year as opposed to other years, I guess, like you were saying, where they weren't all in one building, and people were having issues making classes on time. When they got to the class was full. So it's a positive and a negative, I guess, right?
I think, for me, I think if there's 15 minutes between the sessions, for me, that's enough time to get from one. I'd rather have 15 minutes than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is the other option between sessions, right? Now that the fair point there is that if it took me, let's say, 12 minutes to walk across the facility to another session, if there's not enough chairs in there and I get there, and so now I'm getting there at the last minute, I'd probably be a little upset too.
Yeah.
Right. So I think by maybe making sure there's enough seating and space, so if someone walks in 2 minutes late, they're not having to stand in the back of the room or in the doorway.
Yeah.
That's
and hopefully then, your water and whatever's accessible and in that time to get whatever you need.
I think the other thing, and I don't know if you saw any feedback online about this. Did you see anything about the food?
I did. I heard that water and food was not in one spot. Water was spread out different places, and it was harder to get to. And the food, what did I hear about the food? I can't recall what I heard about the food, whether or not it was good or bad.
I'm gonna guess not good.
Not good.
At the expo hall,
there were no eggs or something.
They ran out of food basically at the expo hall. I think halfway through.
Yeah.
And the food was it was average. I think part of the feedback that I heard is, better food.
Yeah.
People are there. They're traveling. They're spending their money. They want to be fed well. Have good options. For meals, especially even with special considerations. If you're for allergens or vegan or gluten-free, there needs to be a lot of options for those.
I mean, it costs a lot of money to go to it, and you're also paying for your membership, so it should be afforded to you.
So overall though, I walked away. It was like really positive, uplifting, tons of interest. In Business Central and people looking to move forward and take advantage of all of the new features and functionality that Microsoft is putting into the product. So I think it's a really exciting time overall, and we're already looking forward to next year. The user group summit, or whatever it's called now, is going to be in Nashville.
Yep. And I will be able to attend that one.
Yep. So Michael and I,
You're going to?
We'll be there.
Oh, we got to get our cowboy hats.
That's right. We'll be there handing out notepads and pens.
Yeah. Maybe we could even have a little time to podcast. Who knows?
Maybe a live podcast from the user group summit. All right. So moving on, just a couple other notes and tidbits. I think in terms of other general news or blog articles, Michael, anything this month?
Yeah, not too much on anything. Wasn't able to find even a list of how many apps were introduced in the past month. If I had to guess, 25 to 35. The only thing I really did find that I kind of liked was somebody from Microsoft put out a good, quick, new Business Central FAQ. We'll post it on the show notes so you can see all of it, but there's one or two I want to touch on really quick. The first is, we kind of already touched on it, was how can I be notified once an update is available? So in the Business Central Admin Center, there's a notification section. In there, you can put what updates, if you want to be updated or notified when the update happens, you just enter your email address and you'll be sent an email letting you know that the update has happened.
And you can add an unlimited number of people there, right?
I believe it's unlimited, but yeah.
So if you want to, it doesn't have to be just one person who receives that. You can actually send that to multiple people. I mean, we have, many of our customers have set where we have 5 or 6 different people that get notified.
Yep, they get notified, we get notified.
Another option I've seen, what we do is we also have alias kind of email accounts set up where we will have, for example, a support@solsist.com email address. So we'll set that up as the notifications. So that actually gets distributed. It's a distribution group.
Yeah.
Goes to multiple people.
Right. So. That's the way to do it. And then the other one I want to talk about is there an option to test out the major builds prior to release? Yes, you basically have to create a sandbox preview or whatnot. Once you create the sandbox preview, those features will be added into the sandbox, and you can test it out with whatever you want. There's no data from your production area, though, entered into that sandbox environment, so you kind of got to use what you get. But, yep, you can test it out. Other than that, there was not a lot of news, I guess, because of, the release and the conferences and all that type of stuff.
Yep. So kind of last on the list here for the shot is I want to kind of diving in. I've been playing with the new features of the new Wave 2 release that's out. And as I mentioned, my favorite feature is that saved filtered lists feature. So in that vein, I thought maybe I'd have an opportunity to stump Michael here.
Oh, we're going right into it.
And see what he knows about saved filtered lists here. So when you open up a list page, a list of customers or a list of items, there is a default sort on those, right? Okay. So it's going to sort by customer number, for example, or item number. You have the ability to save a filtered list, which limits the data you're looking at. So, for example, I created a save filtered list where I said, only show me, of my 1,000 customers, only show me the customers that have a balance over $1,000. And so this created a list for me of like 50 customers. And then, I want to see who owes me the most. So I click on the balance column. So that way I can see the customers of these 50.
Right, just resorting it.
The one who owes me the most right at the top. When I save my filtered list, is it going to also save the sort with me? With that list? Or when I reopen that list, and like let's say I come in tomorrow and I say, oh, show me my balances over $1,000 customers, and it opens the list and refreshes it, do I have to just click on the balance column again to have it resort, or will it remember how I had that option, how I had that list sorted?
Good question. Do I get to phone a friend? So would it save the sort feature in the thing? I'm going to go with no, it does not save the actual sort feature. Am I wrong? Oh my God, 0 for 1.
You are wrong.
So it does save the sort feature too.
It does. So So in my example, I come in tomorrow, I pull up my list of all customers. It's going to sort it based on the standard sort of customer number. Yeah. But when I go to my balances over $1,000, it retains the sort that I did on balance. So it continues to sort.
So you have to resave the list though, or is it automatically saved? It's automatic.
It automatically saves it and refreshes it each time.
I'll tell you what. Next month, payback's not going to be fun.
Hey,
good question though. Good question. 50-50 shot.
I'm happy to be. I'm happy to be one out.
Yeah.
Also, it's kind of a cool feature. I did not expect it to originally save that sort option. I thought I was going to have to click on it, but I was pleasantly surprised
default. Yeah.
That it did it. So
nice.
Very well. Very good. So that does it for our shot segment. We'll take a quick break here and come back, and we will talk about reminders and finance charge invoices.
All right.